So in this video I wanted to tackle the idea of the truth of life. What does it mean, and how much do we actually know? And the truth of life is obviously a vast subject, and when you get into it and you really want to know what life is all about, you will need to ask at some stage, where does the planet come from? Who am I? What's my purpose here? What is the universe? And big questions like that. And if you look into what we already know as humanity, it does not go anywhere. It goes into a type of mystery that I can see, yes, I'm here, I am alive, but I don't know much more about it. And it's a very interesting subject to go into. But one of the things that happens is that it is very, very easy to get lost in detail. So my viewpoint is, as much as I can, to look from the outside at the whole of life and then take it from there. If I get into the different aspects of life, it is like having a little can of worms, which has billions of little worms in it, and each one of the worms represents a science, let's say, or it represents a person, and they're all wiggling and wiggling and wiggling and wiggling, and they have done that for many, many thousands of years. And as much as you can, you do not open the can of worms. You keep it in there and you can watch them all. But taking them out and letting them spread all over the place, it's very, very easy to get sidetracked and forget the main point, which is, what is this life all about in the first place? And that's a huge question. So I wanted to take this video to go into that question and see what I have found and share that with you. So when you look into the truth of life, the first thing is there is only one truth, and that is what is happening and what really happened. And on top of that you have all sorts of interpretations and ideas and things that people come up with to give you an idea of what is the truth of life. The best is always that you ask straight away within yourself, what is the truth of life? How do I experience it? And then you get answers, but we'll get there. So I have divided the question for what is the truth of life into two different departments, so to say, make it a bit easier for my brain to handle it. And one is, this is my life here, this is my outside life, and then I have my inside life. And the outside life is basically that what you can normally see with your eyes. You have space, you have air within the space, you breathe that air. And then you can go further and say that, okay, now I'm living in nature somewhere on the planet Earth. And planet Earth is within the solar system, and you keep going bigger and bigger from there. You can say there are different planets within the solar system, and it's the Earth, and the whole solar system is part of the Milky Way, and the Milky Way is part of a bigger universe, and the universe is part of the cosmos, and it just goes on and on. So the thing with that is that I have been told that everything started with a Big Bang, which was about 13.8 billion years ago, so it is being taught. And the idea of that was that, you had something, tiny itsy bit of something that boom, exploded. And that is the Big Bang, and out of that one we created all of these things that we see. We have universes, and we have stars, and we have people, and whatever, animals. And the idea that there was a Big Bang in the beginning does not hold any water whatsoever. Because for something to bang, something has to be there. You don't have nothing, and bang, the nothing becomes something. That's just not possible, not to my logic. So when you come across things like this in science, it made me stop and just simply ask, like a little child would ask, that can't be true. Something must have been there to bang. So most of my teachers that I had to deal with explained it away with saying that, okay, life, we don't really know what it is a mystery. And that's a very easy way to get out, because you don't have to explain the mystery because we don't know it. But then the outside life, with all the stars, billions of them, it's all a mystery. And that is honest, because we don't know what it is. And then you have the inside life, and that would be going on from the moment I go into my body. And there I have organs and organ systems, and I have cellular structures, and then I have single cells, and the single cells can be broken down into all the cellular components that are there. And then you go further and further, and you go smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And that is very interesting, because the way I was brought up was never a doubt that we can see electrons, and we can see protons, and we can see all these small structures which were very clearly and precisely defined in the textbooks that I had. And it took many years to find out that we cannot actually see any of that. We can hardly, if possible at all, observe an atom. And in the scale of things, atoms are quite big. So as you go smaller and you talk electrons and you talk protons and and have all of these nice tables that we learn in chemistry, all of that is thinking. It's not observed, it's reasoning. So and that is a very interesting process, because the reasoning can make look very substantial, as if it is really there, and it's not there. The same thing that happens with viruses these days, because you cannot observe a virus, it's just not possible. So when you go into then the idea of that we are made up of very, very, very small things, you come to a point which is called the Planck, after Max Planck, the Planck particle is really, 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 really small. And we can't go any further than that, because the idea is that if we go any further than that, all we have is a black hole. So that again is a very interesting idea. But the point in that reasoning is that if we go smaller and smaller and smaller, we create more and more and more space, to the degree that we are actually, according to that type of thinking, we are 99.999% empty space in which we have all of these little particles floating around. And that is very interesting, because when I come to the point that I am empty space, in which there is some energy, but not material, I come to a point where I see that, okay, on that level, I lose all substance in terms of matter. I become pure energy, and there I can recreate myself. It is a very interesting experience to go into these fields. It is not just a thought, it is actually an experience that I can have within my own body. So to me, the funny thing with both the numbers of stars and star systems that are outside of my body, and with the subcellular structures that are inside my body, is that the number of those particles is so enormously vast that my brain has no chance in any way to compute it or to think about these numbers. My brain is not fast enough. So to give you an idea, you have about 200 billion galaxies. This is unbelievable. Within each galaxy you have something like 300 to 400 billion stars. So if you then think that all of these structures are made out of smaller and smaller particles, which bring us all the way down to the Planck scale, the amount is just mind-blowing. So I end up in a mystery over and over and over again, which is the basis of me, and it doesn't tell me anything even about the particular sciences. So that state is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing meaning that I cannot think about it and I can't even comprehend it. The way we have come across now these days is that we use computers to do it, but computers can be manipulated, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't trust computers because they can be manipulated and the information I receive might not be true at all. So it's a very interesting state to be in. Yet at the same time, I am here. So I have to ask, who am I? And with that energy, I penetrate into all of these things that can be known. It's a very, very, very powerful question that you ask, who am I? I is the one that you have sitting there, where you're talking out of, which you have given the name I, and you have learned to determine that being that is talking there or listening right now as I. It's a very, very interesting point in the self-search. So keep that question, who am I, in mind. Now, over the last 5-10 years or so, I have come across studies that talk about that we are actually living in a computer simulation. In other words, that what we perceive as real is a computer simulation. It's not real. So more and more scientists and people that use their brains that way go into these fields and explain life as something like a video game. And it has a lot of traction because these days you can see kids having, or also adults having, these video games in front of them, and they're basically in a different reality which is being given to them by the game that they're seeing. So through the process of participating in that game, they have certain bodily functions activated, they have adrenaline activated, they can experience love, they experience sexuality, and a lot of things that happen through the body are being stimulated by whatever they are seeing. So the idea that we are living in a computer simulation could be real. I can't prove it. But what I can do is I can bring myself into the moment, into the right now, where I am absolutely sure that I am here in this moment. I'm not in a fantasy. I can feel my body right now here. And there's something inside of me that agrees with me being right now here. There is a certain sense of I am. And this particular I am experience I have found many, many times in also very ancient scriptures which talk about that moment of realization where I realize I am. It's a very powerful experience. Through these processes, more and more and more, I come into a experience that I am right now, and when I am right now, this is the reality that I live, and I participate as 100% as possible. So this is a very important point to realize that prevents me and my body to going any further into any thinking or any fantasizing about other realities or past, future, any of these things. If I am here right now, a lot of things happen in the right now, and I'm absolutely sure that they happen because I can sense them everywhere. So to me, it does not really matter if we have multiple universes, if we have multiple different realities, if this is a visual reality that is being projected into me. The point for me is that how alive do I feel right now, being in the now. That is the key point. So if I take it then to the level where I realize that this whole thing that we are living in is a mystery, then I can go down by choice, consciously, into my cellular structures and beyond, enter a field of energy, and in that field of energy I have the freedom to recreate myself. And that is a very important point. That means that the limitations that are normally set on me and which have been set for us for many, many years, that you can't do that, you have to overcome obstacles and so on and so on. These things are not true. You have the whole of life within you. Everything is communicating through you. If you are open, and that if means that you have to somewhere inside of you feel that what I'm talking about is the truth. That you are a free spirit that can by its own will recreate yourself. It is a very, very important point. It's already been done, but it is not really being done by everybody, because a lot of people limit themselves through their own thinking and feeling structures. So when you can go in and you know that on some level you can recreate yourself, and the proof of that, by the way, is also being given by Dr. Joe Dispenza, who has big groups, and people in his groups heal from unhealable diseases. And there are many videos of his in the net, and I will attach the link to his website, to the site that I'm publishing this year on. So you start to get an idea of what power you really have if you get into the freedom of freely choosing your life. There is incredible power there. There is incredible energy there. So all of these things are possible, but you will need to go through the different steps of freeing yourself, so to say. This is a wonderful process. It's very, very powerful. It can take time, but the point is that it is possible to do that. You are free. You are free spirit. You have the right and the ability to live love as the main important energy on this planet. Not money, not power, not possessions, but love, which is a sensation in the body, which activates your spirit like nothing that I know. It's the most powerful energy that I have ever come across, is love. So you have all of these freedoms inside of you. You can recreate your life. You become living love. You can become living spirit. So this is a wonderful message that I keep on receiving from life day after day after day. And it becomes powerful, becomes more and more powerful. And I'm very, very grateful that I can receive this. And I'm grateful for being able to share that with you. Thank you very much.